The world can be a very difficult place. Many communities in Canada are dealing with a drug crisis and a family breakdown. Mental health issues are not uncommon with people of all ages, including our young people. So where do they turn for help? Where do we turn for help? Joining me now in studio is Shauna Cohen, Program Manager of Lethbridge Woods Homes. Welcome to BCN.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate that.
So Shauna, first of all, your organization, Woods Homes, has been around since 1914, a long time. Why don't you share what your group is all about?
So Woods Homes is a nationally recognized children's mental health center. We've been around for over 105 years, and we have more than 40 programs agency-wide, Lethbridge, Calgary, Fort McMurray, Strathmore, Canmore. And our goal really is to promote and assist the well-being of young people and their families by creating and providing children or mental health programming that's suitable for their needs.
Now, when you say young people, is it ages, what, 12 or 13 up to 18?
You know, we provide services up for young people up to age 24 and also to families. So it's really not a situation where we would discriminate against age. So
How many youth do you have stay with you, and how long do they actually stay?
we have up to about 50 to 75 young people per year. It varies from week to week, and so length of stay can be typically up to 14 days, but sometimes problems, big or small, take longer than that amount of time. So really, they stay with us for as long as it takes to help to resolve their issues.
Shauna, let's talk about some of those problems, specifically problems the teenagers may have with their parents, that family dynamic. How do you help bridge the gap and help them over a lot of those issues?
So we've found over the years that the number one reason for our referrals is family conflict due to a number of reasons. It could be mental health, it could be poverty, it could be substance abuse, all types of things. So we've actually added a person who is connected to our shelter services, and she provides family support services for young people, but also their families. So we work with young people and their families together, but also on an individual basis to try and resolve the conflict, work with them to reintegrate them back into the home, and hopefully prevent long-term homelessness for the young person.
Shauna, I've interviewed many addicts over the years, and many of the drug users say the reason why they use drugs is to hide the pain and the suffering that they've gone through in the past. So how do you help young people who may be battling that drug addiction when they come to Woods Homes?
I think like a big part of the key is to first listen and seek to understand where they're coming from, to look at the big picture, look at their history, and then determine how best we can help them.
As a parent as well, if my child wants to leave home and go to Woods Homes for whatever amount of stay, a week or 2 weeks, whatever the case is, am I still able to touch base with my child while they're there?
Absolutely. That is actually something that we strongly encourage, is parental involvement throughout the process. Young people and their families may need a time where they need a break, but we still encourage them to make the young person feel as though they're part of the family.
Is there help as well available for parents?
There is, yeah. We have trained staff that work in the shelter, but we also have a family support counselor who works on parenting strategies, helps with conflict resolution, helps to do a number of things actively with the parents.
Has there ever been a point in time as well where maybe the parents were abusive and the child says, I don't want to see my mother or father at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, we have cases that come from all walks of life, families that comes from all walks of life with all different situations, problems, big and small. So we just really seek to understand and to figure out what the best route is to take with them. So sometimes it's involving children's services, sometimes it's involving outside resources, such as like family mediation services, counseling, different things like that. We don't take on everything within our organization, but we definitely just assess the need for sure.
Now, you guys actually have a motto: we never say no, never give up, never turn anyone away. What are some of the most difficult situations you deal with at Woods Homes?
Difficult situations are when we have young people who come to us with not one stable adult in their life, and when we have to assist them in finding family natural supports, but that is a service that we do provide, is family finding. Also young people who have experienced severe trauma. That is very difficult to hear and see young people going through those things.
If you don't have family members, can you reach out to maybe that young person's best friend and talk to them as well?
You know, sometimes family isn't just family related by blood. Family is whoever the individual thinks is family. So what we would do is we would help a young person to build up a support network, whoever they feel is necessary.
Now, you have some success stories as well you can share about a teenager who actually kicked the drug habit and is leading more of a normal life. Tell me more about that.
We have young people who definitely have successes. We have to look at successes sometimes by measuring the small things. But I mean, most recently, we've had a young person who actually checked themselves into a treatment program.
Wow.
Because they seen the need for the services and the support, and they were getting to the point where they were hitting rock bottom. So they were aware of the resources and kind of did that on their own. I think there's going to be bumps and challenges, but at least, they were motivated to do that on their own.
Tell me about some of the resources that are available for young people, especially if they're suffering through a lot of emotional abuse or even maybe online bullying, let's say.
So in the community, there are a number of services that work collaboratively to support young people and families, and we do refer out to a lot of the services in the community. So there's private counseling, there's family counseling, there's children's services, there's all kinds of employment services, but we do offer many of those things in-house as well. So it just depends on how significant the need is.
Shauna, do you see a lot of mental health challenges, especially for young people in Lethbridge?
We do, yeah. There's definitely significant issues. I don't know that they've increased, but we definitely do see those at the root of problems a lot of the times, whether it be the young people or their families.
What are some of the issues that you're seeing when it comes to mental health? Maybe isolation, loneliness?
We see lots of
Abuse?
depression and anxiety.
Okay.
Definitely, we see a lot of that with young people. A lot of young people come in with a diagnosis of ADHD, FASD. Sometimes there's suspected mental health issues, but we don't actually have a diagnosis, but we do the work to get the young people connected to those services that can provide a diagnosis or medical supports.
Is a lot of this pressures that's being put on the young people from maybe family members,
Could be.
right?
It could be. It really
I
depends.
want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a lawyer,
Yeah,
I want you to be an astronaut.
I mean, like I said, the young people come from all walks of life, the young people and their families. Mental health doesn't discriminate. It really can affect anyone. So it's just really a matter of kind of figuring out what the situation is and getting them the medical help or the treatment that they need.
Tell me about some of the programs that you offer when it comes to helping young people with their mental health issues. Are there games as well to get them to open up and relax and the walls come down?
We have trained youth and family counselors that work within our programs. So they'd either come with post-secondary diploma or a degree. So they have the skills, and we provide in-house training to be able to work with young people. And what we call life space counseling. So it's more informal than a therapeutic sit down at an organization outside of Woods Homes, but we really focus on relational-based practice and that relationship building with young people. So you'd be surprised what you can talk to a young person about when you're on a drive or when you're coloring a coloring page or just doing an informal activity.
You know, it's funny because there are even adult coloring books today, right, for people suffering through anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
But how often do the young people actually come to you and say, you know what, I do have some mental health issues? Because a lot of people, they swallow their pride and say, I'm good, I'm fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like 50-50, right? So we have young people who know they need the help and they know they don't feel right and they don't feel normal. So we get them connected with medical help right away, whether that be doctors, psychiatrists, what have you, or even just like mental health services. But then there are resistant youth, right? Like youth are struggling on a good day. Just normal teenagers are struggling to figure out who they are, where they fit in, and how they belong. And then put a mental health issue on top of that, that sometimes leads to substance use and conflict. So sometimes it takes a longer time to be able to get them the services they so need.
Lethbridge, Shawn, is now over 100,000 people, and with a bigger city comes bigger city problems like human trafficking. Are you seeing a rise of that as well, and maybe helping kids get out of the sex slave trade?
You know, we haven't had specific situations where we knew for sure that someone was being trafficked or exploited. However, we do have suspicions sometimes, and so if we do have a suspicion that those kinds of things are occurring, we will refer to appropriate services for more secure treatments and services immediately.
Is there something from your experience that can really help youth leave the sex trade industry?
It hasn't been an issue that's been openly on the forefront with our young people. It's more been substance abuse, family conflict, and mental health issues, and then sometimes issues with like the legal areas.
Because I'm wondering too, at the same time, if sometimes people get into the sex trade industry to fuel their drug habits. They'll pay for that, right?
I mean, definitely young people are being exploited. When they're under 18, we call that young people being exploited. So
Absolutely.
I think that sometimes they get involved with those kinds of situations and they don't actually even realize they're being exploited, right? So it's like, I'll give you drugs and then you have to do this. So as soon as we catch on to any situations like that, we will tap into the proper services and get them help and get them removed from that situation.
Does Woods Homes also have any programs to help kids with their job skills to find employment?
We actually have a worker right now who does, she's called the employment locator. And so what she does is she works one-to-one with young people to actively engage them in the workforce, but she also engages employers to try and make partnerships and to try and explain the types of young people that we work with so that they have a different level of understanding of the needs of the individuals that we serve.
How do you help a lot of the young people as well improve their education?
Well, a big focus for us is school reintegration. So we keep really closely connected with the schools. We meet monthly to talk about young people who potentially could be hotspots, referrals that come our way. But we also actively engage with school counselors, parents. We try and make sure that if a young person isn't attending school, that we somehow get them some sort of job program or meaningful daily activity.
How about if a young person is involved in an abusive relationship at home, but they were homeschooled? How would you handle a situation like that?
That's a different situation. I mean,
Right.
obviously, I think that what we would do is bring them into our shelter services to first and foremost meet their basic needs, start with the safe place to stay. We would assess the situation, and then I think what we would do is probably figure out how to refer out for help. If it's an abusive situation and they're under the age of 18, we would often involve children's services just for protection of the child.
What message do you want to give parents and caregivers who are raising teenagers or preteens of how we can really help them so they don't end up at Woods Homes? I mean, Woods Homes is wonderful. It's a nonprofit group. You're helping out in an amazing way in our community, which is a blessing. But at the same time, you know, it's too bad. It's too bad that we have, you know, a food bank. But at the same time, it's a blessing that it's there for those in
Right.
need, right?
Yeah.
So what message do you want to convey to those parents or caregivers?
I think that I would really just emphasize listening and understanding. Really know who your kids are hanging out with, what their needs are, where they might be struggling, and try and do it with a non-judgmental lens. Just be open to hearing about their mistakes and allowing them to move forward and learn from those mistakes.
So being a sounding board is key, right? Really listening?
I really think so, yeah.
Not just hearing, but listening what they're saying, right?
Yeah, and allowing them to make mistakes, right? And being accepting of that and helping them and teaching them how to move forward from those mistakes.
Shauna Cohen, Program Manager of Lethbridge Woods Homes. Thanks a lot for joining me in studio today.
Thanks so much.